The 2025 Formula One season will witness many changes on the grid as it welcomes new faces and sees some big driver shuffles. As we already know, the F1 grid only has 20 seats, and introducing new drivers means some will have to leave the sport. So today, we're going to look at the drivers who won't be part of the 2025 F1 season, the reasons behind their departures, and what the future holds for them. Starting with the biggest news of the winter break, Sergio Perez has decided to part ways with Red Bull Racing, or perhaps the team made that decision for him. In an interview, Christian Horner stated that Checo has chosen to take a break from racing to focus on his family. However, I believe this marks the end of Perez's Formula One career after an incredible 14-year journey. Checo joined Red Bull in 2021 and impressed in his first 2 years with the team. However, the last 2 seasons have been painfully challenging for him. Despite finishing second in the standings last year and helping Red Bull secure their first ever 1-2 finish in the championship, he lagged significantly behind Max in both pace and results. In 2024, his performances made it clear that he wasn't meeting the team's expectations. While Max clinched the title, Checo finished a disappointing 8th. And even though he had a 2-year contract with the team, both parties mutually agreed to terminate the contract early for their own benefit. Liam Lawson has been announced as his replacement at Red Bull. While I'm thrilled for Liam to get this opportunity, it will undoubtedly be a daunting task to keep up with Max. Unfortunately, many seem to focus only on Perez's struggles over the past 2 years, overlooking the fact that he was one of the best midfield drivers on the grid for much of his career. Driving machinery that wasn't always competitive, he consistently made the most out of it and scored many podiums. Every time an opportunity arose, Checo was the driver who seized it. It's bittersweet to see him leave, but Perez achieved so much in his career. I hope people remember and appreciate his numerous accomplishments, not just his final couple of years in the sport. There are rumors linking him to the newly approved Cadillac team, but no official announcement has been made yet. I could see this happening as a new team could greatly benefit from an experienced driver like him. For now though, there's no clear indication of where Checo might race in the future. Next up we have Kevin Magnussen. Kevin is famous for his aggressive racing style and has a somewhat notorious reputation on the grid. His journey in Formula One has been quite fascinating, and if you're interested, you can check out my video on Kevin to learn more about him. I was genuinely surprised by Haas's decision to part ways with Kevin. With Behrman joining as a rookie, I assumed they'd want to retain an experienced driver and extend Kevin's contract. However, it seems that when Ocon became available, they decided to sign him instead. A reasonable choice given Ocon's credentials as a race winner and multiple-time podium finisher. Kevin has been a crucial part of the Haas team for many years, and together they've shared some incredible moments. Unfortunately, 2024 was far from his best season. He wrecked the car in Monaco in an unnecessary incident and was involved in multiple collisions with other drivers. These incidents earned him enough penalty points for a race ban, something that is heavily frowned upon in the racing community. As for Kevin's future, he is currently signed with BMW to compete in the Endurance Championship. I wouldn't count him out of F1 just yet. He's made a comeback before and I believe he could do it again. Not many people know this, but Kevin is actually 5 years younger than Hülkenberg, so time is still on his side. And in Formula One, opportunities can arise when you least expect them. Another driver leaving the grid is Valtteri Bottas. However, Valtteri isn't entirely stepping away from F1 just yet, as he has recently been signed by Mercedes as their reserve driver for 2025. At 35 years old, it's uncertain how much longer he'll remain in the F1 sphere, but for now, he'll still be around. The last 3 years at Sauber have been incredibly tough for Valtteri, especially considering his prior 5-year stint at Mercedes. The Sauber project didn't pan out as he or anyone else had hoped. The Sauber went from being one of the best midfield cars to a complete disaster in just 2 seasons. If Sauber had renewed Valtteri's contract for 2025, I don't think it would have added much value if the car remained as uncompetitive as it was this year. Sauber has chosen Gabriel Bortoleto as his replacement, which makes sense since he's the Formula 3 and Formula 2 champion. Bortoleto is exceptionally talented and carries a similar level of hype as Oscar Piastri did. Over the last 2 seasons, Valtteri may have somewhat fallen off the radar in terms of attention, but he remains a solid driver and an excellent team player. He has 10 wins, 67 podiums, and 20 pole positions in his F1 career. He has also finished as the runner-up in the championship standings twice. Many people might not realize it, but he could easily have been a 2-time world champion. Unfortunately for him, his teammate at the time was Lewis Hamilton. Joining Mercedes as a reserve driver shows that Valtteri isn't done with Formula One yet and is open to making a comeback, just like Daniel Ricciardo did, should the opportunity arise. Next is Zhou Guanyu, another Sauber driver who will be out of a seat in 2025. I don't have a lot to say about Zhou because I'm on the fence about his performance in F1 so far. While his results might suggest he was lagging behind his teammate, Zhou was also quite unlucky on several occasions. Coupled with a car that became significantly less competitive over the past couple of years, he didn't get much of a chance to showcase his true potential. We did see flashes of brilliance from Zhou over the last 3 years, but like Valtteri, he often went unnoticed during races thanks to the slow Sauber car. The best car he had was in 2022, his rookie season, and he performed reasonably well then. Zhou scored points in his very first race and managed to finish in the points a few more times that year. As for his future, Zhou has expressed interest in staying within the F1 paddock, potentially in a reserve or simulated development role, though no specifics have been confirmed yet. He's been linked to Ferrari for those duties, but there hasn't been an official announcement. It makes sense, as Zhou is only 25 years old, so a return to F1 in the future is certainly possible. In recent times, we've seen many reserve and test drivers eventually get opportunities to race in F1. I genuinely hope Zhou makes a comeback, as I believe we haven't yet seen the best of him. I'm including Franco Colapinto in this list because, technically, he is leaving F1 for 2025, even though he only served as a substitute for the last 9 races of the season. Despite his brief stint, he made a strong impression with a couple of standout performances in both qualifying and the races. His performances left us wanting more, and his time in F1 felt even shorter as he was so exciting to watch on track. Unfortunately, Franco will step away from Formula 1 next year to make room for Carlos Sainz, who has signed a multi-year contract with Williams. However, I'm confident this is not the end of Franco's F1 story, rather it's just the beginning. Teams will undoubtedly keep an eye on him and may consider signing him if their current drivers fail to meet expectations or decide to retire. In 2025, Franco will compete full-time in Formula 2, as his 2024 campaign was cut short. He is expected to be one of the title contenders in F2 next year. I really hope he makes a return to F1 soon, as he seems to have the talent to succeed at the highest level. Now, I want to mention 2 other drivers who left the sport in 2024, Logan Sargent and Daniel Ricciardo, both of whom were replaced mid-season by their respective teams. Starting with Logan, Formula 1 didn't work out the way he would have hoped. He struggled to match the pace of his teammate and frequently crashed the car, costing the team significant money and damages. As a result, Williams made the sensible decision to part ways with him early. Logan was clearly struggling a bit too much, and being in that position is detrimental to both him and the team. It may sound a bit blunt, but Formula 1 is not meant for everyone. History is full of examples of drivers who struggled in F1, but went on to win championships and find success in other racing categories. As for Logan's future, he recently tested for the IndyCar series, although there hasn't been an official announcement about where he'll compete in 2025. I still believe Logan is a talented driver, and I hope he achieves the success in other racing disciplines that eluded him in Formula 1. Now, coming to Daniel Ricciardo, his F1 career has been quite successful despite a few rough years toward the end. Ever since leaving Red Bull, things didn't go as planned for Daniel. His stints with McLaren and AlphaTauri were underwhelming, and somewhere along the way, I think he lost the unique racing instinct he once had. His ultimate goal was to return to Red Bull, but he failed to impress the team bosses, especially when matched against a faster and more consistent Yuki Tsunoda. There have been speculations and rumors about Daniel returning to F1 with the newly approved Cadillac team in 2026, but he has firmly denied them, stating that he is done with racing. Daniel is now focusing on various business opportunities, including fashion and winemaking. He had a great F1 career and can be proud of his achievements. He was not only a talented driver, but also one of the most fun and entertaining personalities on the grid. In the end, I would say this marks the beginning of a new chapter for these drivers who are leaving the sport after providing us with some fantastic racing on track. For some of them, I genuinely believe they'll return in the future. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. Comment down below which driver you'll miss the most in 2025, and I'll see you guys in the next video.